And as we watch with bated breath over the fate of the Iranian people, it calls into question how previous U.S. and Western support has emboldened the regime. Joining us with insight is Rod D. Martin. He's a political analyst and founder and CEO of Martin Capital. Good to see you, Rod. Thanks for joining. In this interconnected world of the commodity economy, U.S. economic support or sanctions can really make or break a country. How has U.S. support at times bolstered the Iranian regime over the course of its reign?
Well, of course, the Iranian regime wouldn't even exist if Jimmy Carter hadn't betrayed our friends in Tehran. The Shah was a democratizing, moderating figure. He presided over a country that had historically been an autocracy, and he was leading it into the modern world. Women were able to be educated, to become professionals, to be stylish, for goodness sake. It was a modernizing country. And Jimmy Carter pulled the plug on that. And, in the name of some misguided attempt to give the people voice. Well, the people he was giving voice weren't the people of Iran. They were a handful of mullahs and their theocratic, totalitarian thugs who came into power. And it couldn't have happened apart from the United States doing what it did. And then since then, you've seen subsequent Democrat regimes do the same thing here over and over, culminating, of course, in Barack Obama literally sending $400 million in unmarked $100 bills on pallets of cash in an airplane in the middle of the night. All of that money, of course, just goes straight to Hezbollah and Hamas. It's absolutely horrifying, and it's time that we sorted American foreign policy and we're good to our friends.
Rod, appreciate that context. As we look at this moment right now, of course, Trump kind of speaking out of both sides of his mouth where he said he will participate indirectly in these talks and he wants diplomacy and a deal. But then he was also asked, and he said that regime change would be the best thing for the Iranian people. What's going on in Trump's mind? After the Maduro capture, people thought he was going to move on Iran within a week, and now it's been multiple weeks. What do you think is going to happen here?
I think people misunderstand Donald Trump. He did the same thing with Venezuela. In Venezuela, Maduro was offered a deal. He could have left the country with a lot of money and lived a peaceful life in the Riviera or somewhere, and he chose to stand and dare Donald Trump to come and get me. Well, Donald Trump came and got him. And the Ayatollah is doing the exact same thing. There is an opportunity here to stand down the worst aspects of this regime, or for the regime to even leave, and they're not going to take it. What he has said is non-negotiable, they have called non-discussable. They're not going to budge. So what's really happening here is the president is showing the world that he's been reasonable. He's done everything he can for a peaceful solution. And when that inevitably fails, he has put more firepower in the Persian Gulf than anybody can remember. And this regime is going to fall.
Now, some pundits are warning that Iran has exponentially more capabilities and potentially, kill switches, etc., presenting much more risk than what Maduro had. Can you elaborate on some of the risks there?
I think the risks are overblown. This regime consistently claims capabilities it lacks, and we saw that in the 12-day war. That was going to result in the certain annihilation of Israel and all the American U.S. bases in region and so forth. And it was so pathetic. In fact, you'll recall at one point they fired 300 ballistic missiles at Israel, and Israel and the United States shot down all but one of them. I mean, that's just absurd. And then after we attacked Fordo, after we attacked Isfahan, they blustered about how they were going to attack our base in Qatar. And they actually warned the president in advance so he could get our people out of the way. And we shot down the missiles they launched at Qatar. So, they're a paper tiger. The president knows it. This is coming to an end.
And Rod, in our last minute, I do want to pivot over because you started with a very eloquent description of how U.S. bolstered up, an adversarial regime. I want to get you to do the same thing with China. This, of course, wasn't done just by one party. This started back in Bush Sr., Bush Jr., as well as, of course, during Clinton's time, admission into the World Trade Organization. But how has the U.S. economically bolstered the authoritarian Chinese regime?
Well, you state that exactly correctly, but it goes back even further. I mean, had it not been for the perfidy of Harry Truman and George C. Marshall, there wouldn't be a People's Republic of China in the first place. There never would have been a communist victory. And so we have been enabling their rise literally from the first. And of course, the Clinton administration began the process of transferring key military technologies to them, of bringing them into the world community, which they've completely abused, and actually enabled the rise of their export-driven economy, which is what has made them more or less a superpower. That's completely absurd. That we are actually creating our own enemy. We do it again and again, and only Donald Trump has stood up to them. It's the first administration in the post-Cold War era to actually see the Chinese regime for what it is and properly stand by Taiwan.
Rod D. Martin, so great to get your insights. Thanks for joining.
Thank you.